Hello friends, welcome back to BlockTribe. In the last video, we learned about mappings in Solidity. In this video, we will be learning about nested mappings in Solidity. So, what is the difference between a general mapping and a nested mapping? So, one-to-one mapping examples such as mapping UINT and the string and you name it as employee is a general mapping which is one-to-one. Now, there comes a double mapping, which is when you map an address to the value, which is again a map. And the example goes such as you map an address to the another map, which is name, and that name is again mapped to a age. So basically, suppose you want an address which should relate to the name of the employee, and the name should again then fetch the value of his age. So you can use a double mapping. But now there comes a specific scenario where you want a particular address to be mapped with multiple attributes of an employee, such as you want name, you want age, you want employee ID, and other features whichever you want to add for a particular employee. So in that case, we would require nested mappings. So how we can use nested mappings in Solidity is using struct. So what is struct? Struct is a user defined data type which you can basically create using the predefined data types which exist in Solidity. So an example would be you want an address to be mapped to the name of an employee, the age of the employee, and the employee's ID. So these all attributes you want it to be mapped to an address. So you will create a struct out of these three attributes of the employee, and then you would use a map which would basically map the key as address and the value as the struct which has the values of the employee. Now let's look at an example how this is done. Now what we would do is we would create a struct and you just name it as employee struct, and don't name it as employee. Okay, so let's look at an example. Just simply name struct employee, and what do you require? You require name, and name to be a string. You require uint age, and we require uint employee id. So this is how you create a struct. You have taken all the three features. Now what you would do is you will create a mapping, and what you would do is you would name an address, and address would be mapped to employee. And yeah, I think so that's okay. I'm not given the name of the mapping, so it would be employee underscore map. Now yeah, so this is how you would create a mapping of the struct. Now let's go ahead and create a setter method which would basically help us to set this particular map. So set emp underscore map, wherein you will take the name, age, and employee ID. So string memory and name, and let's take int age and uint employee ID. Okay, so we would keep it as public, and what we need to do is now we have to set this particular map. So we have already discussed how to set the map. Just simply go set the value to message dot sender. So I have already told what is message dot sender. You can check out my last videos. And now let's set the value of this employee, So this employee would point to something like, you would say the name, age, and EMP ID. So this is how you would basically set the values of the struct in a map. Now let's create a function to get EMP map, and you would just pass in the address would be address, and address would be addr. Okay, let's not create a function. Let's keep this map as public so that it automatically creates a getter method. Now let's go ahead and deploy. We see there are two methods, set employee name map and employee map. Now employee map is a getter function, and this is a setter function for this. Now we would pass name as Rahul and the age as 30 and the employee ID as 1234. Okay, when you simply set this map, we can see the value has been set. Now, so what we have done is we have basically set the employee map to message.sender. So message.sender is basically we have deployed the contract using this ID, this address. So this address has been set as the address, and the employee struct, the all the three has been set, but we what we have sent from here. So let's see what values have been set for this account. Let's try and put this and see. Now we see that Rahul age 30 and employee ID 1234 has been set. Similarly, if we go and change this account and let's just try to use this address and see if there are values for this map as well. So you see there are no values, the name is empty, age is 0, and employee ID is 0. So this way you can particularly use nested mapping, which is very helpful in cases where you want a map to have different attributes for a particular entry. It's like one to many mapping. So that's it on nested mappings on Solidity. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below. Thanks for watching.